I know it's been a hot minute since I've made a UFO report video, kind of giving you the ins and outs of the UFO scene and the aliens and all the rest of it. And I know that we've also recently made a video where we stated, you know, we're going to be going back to the paranormal stuff. Well, this is just kind of one of those things where I want to be dedicated to a lane and I want to stick in it. And I feel like this is kind of where I want to be right now. So I'm going to go back to obviously making these UFO report videos. Today's video, I'm going to give you basically a summary of everything that's kind of gone on recently while I get myself back in the loop of these UFO things, because it is hard to keep up with. Every single day it is evolving, so keeping up with these things is pretty darn difficult. But you know, expect daily content once again, based off of UFO content, based off of, you know, the recent news of UAPs and aliens, kind of keeping you in the loop with everything, and basically just trying to do my best with it. So be patient with me as I get back into it. With that said though, if you have anything you can help me out with, email me any information that you've got, anything that you want me to cover, you know, be my eyes and ears as well. That would be fantastic. Let me know on my email, laneyandben@gmail.com. Send everything over that way. If you find out something, if you've got any information or anything that you really want me to cover, then I would absolutely check it out. But with that said, and that very long intro out of the way, I do apologize. Let's get into the UFO news. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is a congressional hearing and whistleblower claims. So on April 25th of 2025, CBS News reported on a congressional hearing where whistleblowers testified that the US military has been concealing evidence of possible alien craft. I mean, does that even come as a surprise to anyone at this point? We've been seeing this for the past few years with congressional hearings, but it is good to see that, you know, ever since 2023, since whistleblower David Grush came forward in that first congressional hearing, that these things are continuing, because obviously momentum builds pressure, and pressure, you know, adds to a lot of stuff with regards to this, especially with a new government in place over in the US. We may get something. We probably won't, but we may get something. The hearing included startling claims that though no direct evidence was actually presented, where a former US Navy pilot dismissed a related presentation by UFO researcher Jamie Morrison in Mexico's Congress as an unsubstantiated stunt, highlighting skepticism around the extraterrestrial claims. Now, obviously, Jamie Morrison's claims are that of the alien bodies. Now, he presented them in front of Mexican Congress, if you remember, back in 2023, start of 2024, I believe, and it was a mess, right? People were either believing it. A lot of people said it was just cake. A lot of people said it was paper mache. There were, you know, skeletal stuff, things done. Basically the jury's still out on it, but not many people are really that involved with it. But up next, we've also got Pentagon investigations. So the Pentagon's All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, otherwise known as AARO, continues to investigate UAPs, and a recent report noted that over 270 UAP sightings from an 8-month period, with 3 cases still under active investigation, out from nearly 24 unresolved incidents. Now, the Pentagon emphasizes national security concerns, particularly surrounding sightings near restricted airspace, but has found no definitive evidence of extraterrestrial origins. Now, that comes as no surprise at all either, because it's, you know, quite typical of these things where, you know, the Pentagon will say, oh, we've got all of these things, we can't explain it, but we're not going to say it's extraterrestrial, because we can't say that, because everyone will start to panic. At least that's what they think. Moving on from that, we've got declassified documents and historical claims. So a declassified CIA document from the early 1990s summarizes articles from Canadian and Ukrainian newspapers, and it went viral in April of 2025. It's described an alleged 1989 to 1990 incident in Siberia where Soviet soldiers shot down a UFO and 5 aliens retaliated by turning 23 soldiers into stone. Now, skeptics, including former CIA agent Mark Baker, questioned the story's credibility, noting its resemblance to science fiction. It does sound like something that you would typically see in a sci-fi novel, you know, War of the Worlds, where like aliens will come out and turn you into stone and stuff like this. But for it to come out of a CIA document is kind of you know, there's a bit of weight to that. Obviously, that came out around the same time as the JFK files from the CIA, so, you know, there's a lot that was involved within that. But moving on from that, we've also got military sightings. So new footage from the US Navy warship reported on April 17th of 2025 showed 4, quote, tic-tac-like UAPs emerging from the Pacific Ocean off California in 2023, resembling a 2004 incident. The objects were recorded on radar and by sailors, fueling speculation but lacking conclusive explanations. Additionally, 2019 sightings of UAP swarming Navy warships near San Diego and mysterious, quote, drones over nuclear missile sites in Colorado, Nebraska, Wyoming, and Kansas in 2019 through to 2020 continue to raise concerns about unidentified technology. Again, this kind of goes hand in hand as well with the drone sightings that we've seen from the likes of New Jersey towards the start of this year. Obviously, that completely took things by storm. As far as I'm aware, those drones are still up there, but because the news coverage has just kind of died out on it, the whole story's just kind of died out on it. So, yeah. Moving on, though, we've got scientific discovery. So on April 17th of 2025, scientists using the James Webb Telescope detected possible biosignature gases like dimethyl sulfide in the atmosphere of exoplanet K2-18b, a Hycean world in its star's habitable zone. While not proof of alien life, this finding suggests intriguing possibilities for extraterrestrial biology. Now, this isn't exactly anything brand spanking new, it's just kind of more evidence to back up this potential theory, because obviously there was also other sulfur-based gases found within the atmosphere which could only be made by living organisms. Now, people kind of hear that and think instantly like humanoid figures or animal kind of figures, but let's not also forget that germs, bacteria, and also, you know, microorganisms are also technically living beings that can produce these kinds of gases as well. So, though it could potentially be an alien life of some form, it could potentially just be alien bacteria, which is far less exciting than the kind of stereotypical Paul type alien. But I guess that's just what we've got. Anyway, you've also got the documentary and public disclosure. So the documentary, The Age of Disclosure, premiered at SXSW in March of 2025 and features 34 US military and intelligence officers claiming evidence of alien presence and a government cover-up spanning over 80 years. Critics argue that the film lacks concrete evidence, presenting unrefutable claims, but it has sparked debate about transparency. But we've also got the Vatican. Now, obviously, unfortunately, Pope Francis did pass away on Easter Monday of 2025. And it's been long speculated that within the vaults deep down under the Vatican, there are documents of UFOs, of aliens, of extraterrestrial life, alongside a bunch of other very exciting and very cool things that are very, very securely under lock and key. But following Pope Francis's unfortunate passing on Easter Monday, UFO researcher who goes by the name of Mark Christopher Lee has urged the Vatican to release alleged classified files on UFOs, some potentially that are centuries old, and claims persist that divine encounters in religious texts might be misidentified alien sightings, though no evidence has actually supported this. And that's kind of an exciting sentiment. But obviously I mentioned about the K2-18b from the James Webb Telescope. Now, this little video infomercial kind of thing gives a lot more evidence and a lot more understanding to what that could actually be.
K2-18b is 2.5 times the size of Earth, and it's 700 trillion miles away. The James Webb Space Telescope is so powerful it can analyse the chemical composition of the atmosphere from the light that passes through it from the small red star it orbits. Its chemical signature seems to suggest that it contains molecules which on Earth can only be produced by living organisms, and it's such a strong signal that if it is home to life, it's plentiful. K2-18b is thought to be a water world covered entirely by a vast ocean, and the evidence is growing that it may be teeming with life.
Now, that's a very exciting prospect, isn't it? But again, it could just be microbiomes and, you know, microorganisms and stuff like this. Now, that's not to kind of like, you know, piss on anyone's parade, but I just like to be realistic about these things. But another thing that I wanted to kind of get you in the loop with was Jeremy Corbel. Now, Jeremy Corbel is, you know, very good when it comes to journalism, very good when it comes to, you know, he released the jellyfish UFO, he's released a bunch of other videos to the public with regards to UFOs, UAPs, aliens and all the rest of it, right? But Jeremy Corbel actually apparently obtained Department of Defense videos of a UFO coming out of the water in Southern California coast and flying into the air with 3 similar vehicles. He says there's no tail, no wing, no propulsion, and it's like anything that we know of. And he basically said that he doesn't know anything that operates like this. And here is Jeremy Corbel basically talking about this in a bit more depth.
Good to see you in studio for the first time. We've talked to you so many times over the years. You're one of the world's leading experts in UAPs and UFOs. So what did this guy see?
Yeah, well, this is an enlisted Navy officer who saw come out of the water what we call UFO or UAP. So he physically saw it come up out of the water. Then he saw it on radar. And this is one of a number of witnesses. But when I obtained and released this footage with George Knapp, people started talking to us. And you know, he had the courage to come forward, which is no problem. He should be able to talk about this. Came up out of the water, sat up there with 3 others, and then all shot off in unison, together, synchronized, almost instantaneously, a UAP.
And so what we're looking at right now, this is Department of Defense footage, right?
Yeah, essentially anything. This is filmed by a Navy warship, right? Yeah. So these are our systems that we use to defend the ship. This itself was, when I obtained it with George, we were able to put it out and show, it doesn't really anything with national security. You know, this is called the Sapphire system, but it does show something really unique. It's what's not in the footage. There's no tail, no wing, no propulsion. There's nothing that we can say that is typical or average propulsion. Everybody on the ship knew they were seeing something extraordinary. So obviously people thought it was important to document, and then finally witnesses come forward.
So you put out this footage, and then this sailor that we saw said, I was there, I want to talk about this.
Yeah, so through an admiral who testified in front of Congress about the reality of UFOs, this individual reached out to that admiral, and that admiral knew that I had obtained that footage.
Now, I believe he's talking about Admiral Tim Gallaudet, if I'm not mistaken, because he did testify in front of Congress. And, you know, he's been at the forefront of a lot of the UAP disclosure as well. So, you know, he's got his finger on the buzzer when it comes to this kind of stuff as well.
So it says, maybe you guys can talk. And so luckily, look, people that are active military, they're allowed to talk about this. They're not talking for the military, they're talking for themselves. And being a direct eyewitness, though, and people that have the courage to do that, that's what Congress wanted. We need more of that. And so hats off to Alex.
So obviously that's quite an exciting prospect. With footage as well to kind of back it is quite a rare occurrence. But what do you guys make of all of this? Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. I hope that you're excited to be keeping up to date with everything. I'm going to try and keep it as factual as possible, try and give you as much depth as possible with every video. You know, but obviously comment section is open for everyone. The floor is open. Please let me know what you guys think. While you're down there, jump scare the hell out of that like button and subscribe. And until next time, I'll speak to you guys later. Peace.